warning, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., as featured on Wrestling8.com and TNA Insider, Lee Sanders.
Speak to me, warrior! As I thought about what I was going to say this evening, it's been hard for me to find the words. That's...
Oh! Oh, this is going to be great. There you go. There's the warrior.
Well then, you shut up, warrior, and let me do the talking. No WWE talent becomes a legend on their own. Every man's heart one day beats its final beat. His lungs breathe their final breath. And if what that man did in his life makes the blood pulse through the body of others, it makes them believe deeper in something than larger than life, then his essence, his spirit will be immortalized by the storytellers, by the loyalty, by the memory of those who honor him and make the running the man did live forever. You are the legend makers of Ultimate Warrior. In the back, I see many potential legends, some of them with warrior spirits, and you will do the same for them. You will decide if they lived with a passion and intensity, so much so that you will tell your stories and you will make them legends as well. I am Ultimate Warrior. You are the Ultimate Warrior fans. And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
And a very somber Wednesday evening to you all. This is the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. Thank you so much for joining us for this special Wednesday night edition of the RCWR show. Just a couple of minutes past 9 p.m. Eastern. Very somber to be on the air with you guys right now. We are live right now. And, we're going to try to do what we can to try to take the tragic news of the passing of Ultimate Warrior. And we're going to try to see if maybe we could do a little bit of a positive spin and reflect on his career. I definitely want to get you guys involved. You can interact with us on Twitter at the RCWR show or Facebook at Infinity One Productions. You're more than welcome to call into the show, depending on how much time we have left. We'll definitely try to see if we can get to you guys' calls. Number to call is 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. Just listen to the prompts, get yourself live on the air for once, and it's rare that we do this. We do have the chat room open at BTR, so in case you'd like to maybe jump in that way, you can do that as well. Where to begin? I guess we should maybe rewind it back. Maybe for those of you that don't check us out on YouTube, I had the unfortunate displeasure of reporting this news earlier this morning. And just to kind of set it up properly for you guys, I was actually on my way to bed. I had just got done watching a couple of Dave Matthews Band little snippets of a concert that they had did on YouTube, and I was showing it to my girlfriend, and she was like, "Hey, we should try to go see them." And I said, "Yeah, you'd like it. If you like this, you probably would enjoy seeing Dave Matthews Band in concert. Just get that whole full overall takeaway of them, get that overall pure entertainment aspect from them." And I was getting ready to shut it down for tonight, but something in my bones just said, hop online real quick and see if there's anything major going on. And I wasn't looking for like a scandalous tabloid or anything like that. It's just part of my nightcap. Sometimes I like to just hop online, read some next day news stuff, get prepared for the next day. That's basically it. And one of the first things that I did was I hopped on Twitter, see if any of you are followers and people that I interact with privately on a daily basis had anything interesting to say to me. And I saw one person put out a tweet saying, "Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior." And I couldn't help but kind of go, wait a minute, somebody pulling a bad joke right here, because this sounds terribly bad. Bad joke, what's going on? And next thing I know, I just did a Google search, I did a Bing search, and I see that Ultimate Warrior has passed away. Still in disbelief, I go straight to WWE's website. I also head over to Wrestling Inc.'s website. They verified it, and my heart just completely dropped. I was just yelling, I gotta get online. I gotta tell our subscribers, I gotta break the news. This is ridiculous. And she's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "Man, Ultimate Warrior just died." And she screamed, "What?" I said, "Yeah, Ultimate Warrior, he died apparently." And I'm still in shock just talking about it. For those of you that had checked out the piece that we did on YouTube, I was pretty choked up about it. I almost at one point had broke down in tears, but I was able to regain my composure at the very last second. But I'm still in shock as we speak. And here we are hours later. And we're going to try to give you guys as much information as possible that we were able to obtain, because I've been doing my best to stay on top of this pretty much since the news had first broke out. Now, as you all know, Ultimate Warrior, the last time this band had anything to do with the WWE, it was the WWF at the time, and we're talking like 1996, one of his last runs in the company. That's pretty infamous because he had took on a very young Triple H dubbed Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Okay, that's how far back it goes. And he hadn't had anything to do with the promotion since, as he had a fallout basically with Vince McMahon over unpaid royalties, and they just didn't see eye to eye on a couple of things, money being one of them. And it was pretty much just for years a little bit of a bitter/smear campaign for Ultimate Warrior. And, you know, you talk about a monumental weekend that he had, because here he was, one of the newest inductees into the 2014 WWE Hall of Fame, an event that was pretty much surrounded by him as he was the main marquee, right? And then you follow up that Hall of Fame induction with his appearance at WrestleMania 30. You follow it up for a third consecutive night with him making an appearance in the middle of a WWE ring on this past Monday's WWE Raw. First time pretty much since 1996 that he was inside of a WWE ring. And that little 3-minute promo that we had played right before I came in, that's the last piece of history right there of him in the flesh. Let's set this up properly for you guys. At around 6 a.m. near an airport yesterday morning, so we're talking Tuesday morning, he was seen, said he was in good spirits, looked a little frail, but hey, all good. And we should point out, with regards to looking all frail and everything, it should be noted that when he was down in New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend a lot of people had noted that he had looked to be in rough shape that whole weekend. They also noted that he appeared to be in constant pain, looked as if he might have been sweating, looked very uncomfortable. It was apparent to the people around him that something wasn't quite right with him. People also took notice when Warrior had looked weak after doing the signature rope shake on Monday's Raw. Now, one person, I'm assuming within WWE, was quoted recently telling TMZ, direct quote here, "We all felt that he looked like he was going to blow a gasket. It was pretty easy to see." And you could definitely see this from the moment that he had took the stage at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Something about him didn't look quite right. He looked like he was out of breath. His skin tone, he was just bright red, and it's weird because, and I mentioned this on YouTube the other day, but when you go back and you look at him in the WWE 2K14 commercial, you look at how his skin complexion was, even though he had a little bit of makeup on, you could still tell that the pigment in his face was matching that of his body. It was on point. So you take that from that commercial and then you compare it to the Ultimate Warrior that we had saw during the Hall of Fame WrestleMania weekend leading into Raw. Something about him did look off. I didn't think it was really nothing. I shook it off. I remember telling my girlfriend, he doesn't look quite right, but maybe he's nervous. That was just my whole deal. Maybe he was nervous. Maybe he had the jitterbugs, goosebumps, all that good stuff. It's been a while since he's been back in the WWE ring. Let him pass. Let him have it. It's all good. But that gives you an idea leading up to his sudden passing that, okay, something wasn't quite right. Now, again, he was seen Tuesday morning at an airport. He was nice enough to take a couple of pictures with fans, sign a few autographs. You fast forward, folks. You fast forward to a little bit after, I believe it was, I want to say 6 o'clock in the evening Pacific time. Him and his wife, they had exit Arizona hotel and they were getting ready to get in their car. It was said that Ultimate Warrior grabbed his chest, collapsed right there on the ground. Paramedics got called. They tried to take him to the hospital. He was announced dead upon arrival. That came a little bit around 9 something. I want to say that they went on ahead and called it as far as his time of death. And the way it's being reported right now, it's looking as though he may have suffered some type of a heart attack. That's exactly what's being described right now. Bret Hart, he was recently quoted in an interview that he had conducted with CJ92 in Calgary just this morning about his encounters with Ultimate Warrior over WrestleMania weekend. And he said, direct quote, "He seemed good, seemed happy for sure. I had a sense his health wasn't great. He seemed a little frail. He seemed a little less indestructible than he used to be." And he also commented on the use of Warrior steroids over the years. Now, this is some controversial stuff right here. I know a lot of you people are probably debating on whether or not Warrior was taking steroids right on up to his time of death. An autopsy is going to be underway this Thursday, we shall point out. So hopefully those results, usually it takes a couple of weeks. I would think that since he just got back with the WWE and he signed that multi-year deal and everything, given how close of a relationship he seemed to have with the McMahon family, definitely with Triple H, as after all, Triple H was the one that had orchestrated everything to get him back into the WWE on good graces. And we're going to actually talk a little bit more about that and Triple H in a little bit. But Bret Hart was quoted saying, "I don't think it would be a surprise to know he took steroids for a long time. And I don't know if he ever stopped." Again, that autopsy is going to be coming up on Thursday. Just the fact that the McMahons, Triple H, they had a huge hand in getting him back into the WWE. A lot of old wounds were healed. I would suspect that that autopsy, the results, it's probably going to be coming about, I would think, at least within 2 weeks tops. Usually it takes a little bit longer than that, but I would think they're going to try to be like, hey, give us the results ASAP. So I'd say about maybe 2 weeks tops. Those results is probably going to be coming, and we'll definitely do our best as soon as we get a hold of that information. We'll definitely share it with you guys, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook. We'll definitely share it with you all. Now, TMZ, you got to give them credit. They were really on top of this, and they really were the eyes and ears, because they had a lot of people that were there at the scene of where Ultimate Warrior had the heart attack. That's what I'm calling it right now. I'm honestly under the impression he suffered some type of a heart attack, but most importantly, I think the autopsy results, it may reveal something a little bit more than just a heart attack. Maybe it might have been a case where he had a enlarged heart. Maybe it could be something similar to what had went down with Eddie Guerrero. This is just pure speculation right here, and I could be reaching, I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last. But if you'd ask me to put an educated guess out there, I think that this could be a scenario where somehow Ultimate Warrior knew he didn't have that much time left, and maybe he just wanted to try to hurry up and get things in order for his family, try to make sure that financially they were going to be in some type of a good position. Maybe that's why he kind of said what he said at the Hall of Fame. Maybe that's why he said what he said on Raw this past week. A lot of speculation here. Let's deal with some concrete facts though. ESPN, they had spoke with Triple H earlier today about the passing of Warrior, and Triple H had said that the company was devastated when learning of his death. He said that Warrior's return to the company was a wonderful homecoming and celebration of an iconic career. He also noted that Warrior was ecstatic to be back, and that he didn't think he saw the smile that Warrior had on his face leave the entire time he was there with the WWE over the 3-day weekend. He said his passing was shocking, tragic, and devastating to us all. Triple H repeated that Warrior said during his Hall of Fame induction speech that his greatest accomplishment in his life were his wife, being a great father to his young daughters. Triple H noted that Warrior always had the mentality that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and work hard, to the point where he always signed everything, including his contracts, with "always believe." Now, Triple H would admit that they were grateful to reunite with Warrior before his death, and noted that he'd been working on Warrior's return to the company for 18 months. He called it a healing process that doesn't happen overnight, but both sides had grown, and that it was time to move on from their past issues. It meant the world to them and to the Warrior to get inducted into the Hall of Fame and be immortalized in front of his fans and peers. He believes that Warrior would consider his Hall of Fame induction in front of his family to be the greatest moment of his career. You know, one thing that I want to stress right here, a lot of people, they'll chime in their thoughts on Triple H from time to time, and they'll say some bad things about him and say he's bad for business, he isn't saving the business. Some would coin the phrase that, on the contrary, he's actually been the savior of the business. You look at a lot of the good that he's been able to do since he's come up in high power, and maybe it's just due to age and the fact that he now has children and his priorities are different as opposed to the man that he was years ago before all that came into play. Say what you will, but you gotta give Triple H his credit where it's due. This is a guy that had orchestrated the return of Bruno Sammartino. We didn't think it was possible, but he managed to get Bruno Sammartino back in the WWE, back in good graces with Vince McMahon, and it's like nothing ever happened. Then you follow that up with Triple H making sure that he was able to do everything in his power to get Ultimate Warrior back in the WWE, get him part of the WWE Hall of Fame. Says a lot. It really says a lot. You combine all that, you combine it with the work that he's been doing with the NXT promotion. Love him or hate him, the man has definitely been trying to make his marks in the business. He's been trying to do some type of good, and my hat's off to him. You know, I'm really, I won't say fuzzy feeling, but it does give me a warm feeling to know that Ultimate Warrior was able to get into the Hall of Fame, and that Triple H, he pretty much paved the way to make it possible, because this could be an entirely different scenario right now where Warrior isn't in there, and it's kind of like we have another scenario where, all right, so Macho Man wasn't able to get in, will he ever get in? And then it's like, okay, well, now what about Ultimate Warrior? Is there any chance of him getting in there. So I really think with regards to Triple H, some of you all, not all of you, but I think some of you all need to loosen up on the way you perceive Triple H. And if what he did in helping get Daniel Bryan over at WrestleMania 30 really didn't convince you that he's trying to do the best he can for what's really good for business, maybe you should stop checking out the WWE product. You know, speaking of Triple H, him, a number of other people, they had nothing but good things to say about Ultimate Warrior as each of them had learned about his passing. Here's just some of the comments that a few had to say on social media. Let's start with Triple H. Saddened to announce the passing of the Ultimate Warrior, icon and friend. My sympathy to his wife, Dana, and his daughters. Stephanie would follow that up. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Your strength of character is to be admired. There will never be another one like you. Your spirit lives on in your family. Bad news, bear it. Truly, awful news about the Ultimate Warrior's passing. Thoughts go out to his family. Rest in peace. Jim Ross, sad to pass along the news that the Ultimate Warrior has died. Condolences to his wife, 2 daughters. Rest in peace, Warrior. Hulk Hogan, rest in peace, Warrior. Only love. Kevin Nash, so happy I embraced Warrior with a hug when we saw each other backstage Saturday night. My heart goes out to his family. Always believe. I'll read a couple of more for you guys. Gregory Shane Helms, the wrestling world has lost another legend. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Damn it. TNA Impact Wrestling star Austin Aries, what the fuck, really? Warrior. And let's read one from Roddy Piper. Tomorrow is promised to no one. Enjoy every second with a tool called love. My love to the Warrior and family. And that's just some of the sentiments that's been going around on social media since the news of Ultimate Warrior's death. Jim Ross had recently wrote a blog about his passing. It's a very short one too. I'll just read you a couple of snippets of it if you guys want to read the full. Actually, it's not even that long. I can go ahead and read it all. It's like maybe about 60 seconds long, maybe a little bit less than that. Let's go for it. The most memorable moment for me this past weekend in New Orleans was the interaction at the WWE Hall of Fame between Warrior and his 2 daughters who accompanied their dad on stage just before he gave his induction speech. The love and bond between a father and his daughters was obvious and heartwarming. In an arena full of Warrior fans, many of who were reliving their youth with their hero, Warrior made it clear that his greatest accomplishment was not being the Ultimate Warrior, but instead being the father of his 2 daughters. In a career and life often marked by controversy, the beauty of the weekend was seeing Warrior come home to WWE accompanied by his family and that they were able to enjoy the celebration together. I live with this mantra daily. Tomorrows aren't guaranteed for any of us. Today, that philosophy is more meaningful than ever. Rest in peace, Warrior, 1959 to 2014. The love, the support for Ultimate Warrior, it even extended to the TNA wrestling promotion. TNA issued this with regards to Ultimate Warrior's passing on their website. TNA joins the entire wrestling world in mourning the passing of Warrior. He was one of the most popular superstars in the history of professional wrestling and will certainly be missed by millions of fans worldwide. We hope everyone will keep his family in their thoughts and prayers. Dixie Carter, and I've had the pleasure of tweeting her and receiving tweets from her directly from time to time. She put this out on Twitter. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Much respect. Deepest sympathies to your family. Classy move right there by the TNA president and by the TNA wrestling promotion. And later on in the show, we'll definitely get to you, the RCWR show listeners' comments and what you all had to say about the sudden tragic passing of Ultimate Warrior. So many of you had took to our YouTube piece breaking the news. And we broke that news to you guys, I think a little bit after 1 o'clock in the morning, but so many of you had took to that video and commented. I definitely want to do you guys justice and read some of the things that you all had to say with regards to that. But a very emotional week that it's been, I'm sure for a lot of you fans, definitely for me over here. I grew up on Ultimate Warrior, you know. When you think about Ultimate Warrior, one thing that really kind of jumps out at there at my mind, the face paint, the boots, the way he would just run out of the daggone gorilla position and he would just be fist pumping through the air, hair just flying all over the place, and he just runs. I mean, he doesn't jog. He would just run his ass down the ramp and he would go around the ring like about 3 freaking times. Then he'd take to the ropes and he'd shake that son of a bitch like a madman. Not just for that one set of ropes. He'd hit all 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken. He would hit all 4. Then you're saying to yourself, my God, this guy has got to be tired. He has got to be out of energy. How the hell is he going to be able to have a match? And somehow this guy was always able to give us a match. More than 3 minutes, I can definitely tell you that. And you look at the way he got into the business. He first got into the business basically through bodybuilding. He was involved in a bodybuilding contest that had involved Steve Borden. You guys know him better as the icon Sting. Sting, along with Mark Miller and another bodybuilder, they were trying to make the transition into professional wrestling. And Steve had wanted to know if Warrior wanted to get on board. And he said, yeah, sure, sign me up. Let's go for it. And eventually, Warrior, back then at the time, Jim Hellwig, he began his professional wrestling career as Jim Justice Hellwig of the Power Team USA. And it was a group of bodybuilders that was basically trained by Red Baston and Rick Baseman. And for a hot minute there, he was teaming up with Sting, and then eventually things just kind of morphed into Warrior going into the World Class Championship Wrestling for about a year after he had did his thing with the Blade Runners for Mid-South Wrestling. You know, you think about that first run that he had in World Class Championship Wrestling when he debuted and everything. And he's told this story many times, by the way. He would wrestle for like $50 a night. And it was there that he adopted Dingo Warrior after a member of the locker room remarked that he looked like a warrior. He formed a tag team with Lance Von Erich. They had competed for the WCWA tag titles. He also tried competing for the Texas Heavyweight Championship, from what I'm able to remember. But that whole Dingo Warrior, it was really starting to catch fire. And eventually, word had got to Vince McMahon. And they were kind of like, this Dingo Warrior thing, what the heck is this? And so soon they found out what it was about. And Vince McMahon was like, why you call yourself Dingo Warrior? Tell me a little bit about that. And he told him. And keep in mind, Vince McMahon, he didn't know what the hell was going on with Dingo Warrior, but he saw enough to know, hey, this guy's got a lot of potential. I need to do what I can to bring him to the WWF. And thus coined the phrase modern day warrior, thus dropping Dingo. So that's kind of where the whole Ultimate Warrior thing really kind of kicked off. And of course, we all remember his infamous first run in the WWF from 1987 to 1991. Probably one of the greatest highlights of this man's career was, for me as a fan, for me, it could be different for many of you, but definitely for me, one of the major highlights was seeing him become the WWF champion after defeating Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6 in the Ultimate Challenge. And I find it so funny that the WWE Network, they decided to try to capitalize on that WrestleMania event by showing it. It's actually airing on the WWE Network now as we speak. They began airing it at 8 p.m. Eastern, but I was actually watching that pay-per-view as soon as I had heard about his death. And because for me, it was just an awesome moment. Here you go. For me, 2 of my biggest favorite iconic superheroes of all time in the WWF. Here they were colliding. And you just couldn't help but kind of go, man, who's going to win? I want them both to win. but you knew only one of them was going to walk away with all the gold, and it was called the Ultimate Challenge because Ultimate Warrior was putting up his Intercontinental Championship. Hulk Hogan was putting up his WWF Heavyweight Championship. So they were putting it all on the line. One winner walked away with both. And Warrior was the one that had went on. He won that Ultimate Challenge, but unfortunately, then president at the time, Jack Tunney, he basically said, look, as a result of you becoming the WWF champion, you got to relinquish the Intercontinental Championship. You can't hold both belts at the same time. But what a badass moment it was to see Ultimate Warrior hold both of those titles at the same time. And to date, we haven't seen anybody duplicate that. So many people have come very close, but we haven't seen anybody do just like what Warrior did. Probably never will either. Maybe Roman Reigns now. Maybe he might be able to kind of touch that. Maybe. We'll see in good time, but nobody has come close to that since. But nothing had equaled that first run that he had in the company. Of course, we all remember briefly his second run that was going on. He was feuding with Hercules Hernandez. I think that had led to a WrestleMania. I want to say a WrestleMania. The number's a little fuzzy right now, but they had collided at WrestleMania. There was the WWF Wrestling Challenge where he defeated Terry Gibbs. When I think about his second run in the WWF, it was kind of, you know what I'm saying, guys? Those of you that's longtime Ultimate Warrior fans, it really wasn't much to talk about. But you had that run there for the Intercontinental Championship from 88 to 90, where he defeated Honky Tonk Man in a record 27 seconds at SummerSlam 1988. And then he had those feuds after that where he was going up against the Outlaw Ron Bass, Greg the Hammer Valentine. He feuded with Ravishing Rick Rude, Arn Anderson. My personal favorite, the Weasel match that he had with Bobby the Brain Heenan. I love that right there, man. That was just freaking hilarious right there. Bobby Heenan at his absolute best. Of course, there was the departure from the WWF in 1991, and this is very chronicle, but for those of you that aren't aware of it, basically July of 91, Warrior has sent a letter to McMahon requesting what was to be included in his new WWF contract. He requested $550,000 for performing at WrestleMania 7, as well as a guaranteed number of working days, travel accommodations, and a higher percentage of merchandise sales. Warrior had remarked that the $550,000 figure was not fair and that Warrior meant as much or more to the show than Hulk Hogan. Warrior had ended the letter by stating, "Whatever your decision, I can and will live with it. Till then, I will remain home with one who cares." And Vince McMahon quickly had typed up a letter and told him, yeah, you know what? No problem. We're going to do that for you. You're my friend. I respect what you said. We're going to make it work. We're going to meet all your demands. No problem. Now, following WWF's annual SummerSlam event for that year, Warrior was handed a letter dated August 26, 1991, with Vince McMahon basically stating that Warrior would be suspended effective immediately. Among other things, Vince stated, "You threatened to stay at home, thereby not even appearing at Titan's major summer pay-per-view event, SummerSlam. I had no choice but to accede to your exorbitant demands. This was a serious mistake on your part." Vince would later testify that the only reason the company agreed to the contract was to temporarily put a band-aid over what he felt was Ultimate Warrior's lucrative demands to ensure that Warrior would perform at SummerSlam. Upon receiving the letter now, Ultimate Warrior had refused the suspension and would leave WWF. Warrior formally sent in a letter of resignation to the WWF in 1991. WWF refused to accept the letter since Warrior was still under contract until 1992. So Warrior, he did try to go back in 92, but it pretty much really wasn't the same after that. So you kind of go from 92 to 96. He was doing his thing down in WCW. And one match from WCW actually really stood out in my mind for sentimental purposes, and it was when he had teamed up with the Icon Sting to take on Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart. It was the first time that Ultimate Warrior and Sting had teamed up since 1985. And the match was pretty good until the other NWO members had ran in and they just started beating the crap out of Sting and Warrior. But just from that sentimental standpoint, I thought it was kind of cool to check out. You guys might remember that episode too, because they had that match. I believe it was on an episode of Monday Night Nitro, and it was on the same night that Mortal Kombat, the series, was getting ready to premiere. I got a good memory right there. I know my Mortal Kombat, man. But yeah, he did his thing, 92, 96, just floating around there for a little bit, WCW, independent circuit. There was that one last run in the WWF where he had defeated Hunter Hearst Helmsley at WrestleMania 12. But pretty much other than that, again, it was kind of fuzzy right there. He had a decent match with Owen Hart. He was scheduled to team with Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson to face Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith, and Vader at the In Your House 9, but WWF had terminated Warrior's contract when he took time off to allegedly grieve for his father. And as far as Vince McMahon was concerned, Warrior never showed any amount of concern towards his father before, and McMahon just felt that it was a crock of bull. He was just trying to get out of appearing at that In Your House 9 event, and basically looked at what Warrior did as a breach of contract. Warrior had problems with the fact that his merchandise was being sold and he didn't get a percentage of that. Pretty much ultimately that would lead to him leaving the WWF again, and it would be a long time before we would see him come back to the WWE, as you all know. Now, he would try to go back to WCW one last time, and I'm not even going to go into details on that because as far as I'm concerned, I didn't watch WCW right around that time. But for the most part of Warrior's career post-wrestling, he was doing a pretty superb job with his Warrior Training Academy. He was doing a really good job as a motivational speaker. Lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff that he had going on outside of wrestling. Even took the time to publish a comic book titled Warrior, featuring himself as the main character. Wrote on blogs, websites, was doing YouTube videos for a good minute. His YouTube videos were very popular too. In one of the particular videos that he did on Kevin Nash, as some of you guys may recall, him and Kevin Nash, they did not see eye to eye. And as far as Ultimate Warrior was concerned, Kevin Nash was just one of those type of guys that was just abusing his power, abusing his place in the wrestling business, didn't do the right thing and putting certain people over, basically coming off feeling a little bit, I guess you could say, intimidated, nervous about his position. I'm talking about Kevin Nash. And Nash was just insecure with himself, basically. And Nash and Warrior, they were going back and forth, guys. It was very freaking ugly, to the point that, if I remember right, Kevin Nash had actually tried to challenge Ultimate Warrior to an MMA fight or something to that extent. And Warrior basically said, I am not doing that sort of thing. However, if you want to meet me one-on-one, you want to try to do something, well, you know what? You get your lawyers together. I'll get my lawyers together. I'll have them take a look at the contract. And if the dollars are on point, I'll meet you at the right time, right place. And of course, that never did happen. But you hear that, and you combine that with the love-hate relationship that he had going on with the Hulkster. It was pretty much the same thing with the Hulkster. Warrior didn't like the fact that Hulk Hogan was abusing his power in the business, not doing the right thing, getting certain people over. It was exactly the same thing. And it was kind of funny because he even had some things to say about Triple H at one point. This is all like years ago. So for some of you hearing this, and you may be hearing this for the first time, you may be saying to yourself, it's kind of funny that here we are, we fast forward, and we have this humbled Ultimate Warrior that's trying to do everything he can to make peace with everybody, make sure that any type of wrongdoings that he ever said to anybody, that it all gets squashed. And they say, there's old saying, that for some, they're able to see when their time on this earth is near. Of course, the $1,000,000 question, that Ultimate Warrior know that his time was drawing near? We'll never know, but I tell you what, that autopsy should be able to provide some very interesting results as soon as it becomes available. So far, Dana, to my knowledge, hasn't said anything publicly. I'm sure her and her daughters, they're just probably still processing all the news and the information, and I'm wondering when we're going to be hearing something on funeral arrangements. I would think that that would definitely be forthcoming before this weekend is out, and that's definitely something we'll make sure that we stay on top of for you guys. What I want to do right now is go on ahead and take a very brief commercial break, but when we come right back, I definitely want to read some of you all's comments from what you had to say on our YouTube piece. And then we'll open up the phone lines and see if there's maybe a thing or two that you guys would like to talk about as far as your fond memories of the Ultimate Warrior. So stick around, a little bit of showtime left. You're checking out a special Wednesday night edition of the RCWR show.
This is Jacob State Roberts saying, man, check this shit out. RCWR show. If you ain't doing that, you might as well be home playing with your own damn snake.
I don't even think sometimes, because of the way the business was back then, and at the pace that you worked, you ran on the road, and the tours you did, I wasn't even aware of just how much I was giving in myself to that character, just how different it really was. Because when you're in that business, people don't come up and tell you. They don't say to you, man, this thing that you're doing, it's going to be something that people are going to want to be a part of, they're going to want to experience. It means everything to my life. My daughter and my wife's stories I tell them, or want them to understand about the responsibility their lives have, and all these things I really wasn't aware of at the time, the wisdom that's come out of it all. I did everything I did with blinders on. Nothing else mattered 24 hours a day except succeeding at that character. I didn't pay attention to the opinions of other people. I listened to the fans. Even the shaking of the ropes that I did when I first started doing it and got on TV, there would be 5 or 6 veterans there when I came out of the ring telling me not to do it, that I wouldn't have a career in the business, that I looked like an idiot, that it would be stupid if I continued to do it. I was so in tune even then with my instincts and what I needed to do. And that came through self-discipline and working out and exercising in my body and healthy eating and those type of things. And I knew that there wasn't a minute I wasted. I carried a journal around, writing down things I would come up with and ideas. And at the time, the business was different. There weren't writers, there weren't creative people, there weren't costume people to help you do your thing. You had to do your own thing. Macho Man and all the other characters then, they would get the opportunity. If you had the charisma, the skill set, the speaking ability, the creativity, you can make a character happen. They let you do it. The business has changed. It's a different culture, Back when I was in it, the Ultimate Warrior character, he was a good guy. He was one of the first good guy. I'm not going to wait to be polite about kicking your ass. There's one thing to succeeding in the business as a character, but protecting that is a whole nother ballgame. I was in WCCW in Texas, and the first time I worked for them, this is a story that you don't even hear anymore. While I was working down there, Vince had done his first WrestleMania. He had a guy working for him at the time named George Scott, and he was on his way to Florida, and he was a friend of Fritz von Erich's, who owned the promotion WCCW, and Fritz asked him to come down, take over the book down there for a while. He came in and started doing that, and then an old-time wrestler, Bronco Lubick, pulled me aside one night and said, I heard George Scott on the phone today, and he was talking to somebody from New York, and he was talking about somebody down here who's got this talent. It's raw, but
He said, don't you tell anybody, because I'll deny it. And next thing I know, I got a call from Vince and Pat Patterson asking me what the Dingo Warrior was. And then they were doing a show in Tyler, Texas, and they had Coco Beware and Randy and Junkyard Dog. So I go down there. They said, you want to come down and perform? So I went down there, and the people went crazy, and they asked me if I wanted to go on the road for a while. I packed my bag. I went on the road for like 46 days and didn't go home. And I knew what they were doing. They were trying to burn me out. And I just hung in there, kept my nose clean and stuff, and they kept me off the television. I did the Dingo Warrior thing, and then 8 or 9 months later, they put me on TV for the first time, and it just took off from there. Vince is intense, man. He goes around the clock, and I was the same way, and some of the people that knew both of us said the problem was they were too much like each other. That's why WWE succeeded, because Vince shows up and he works every day. Most people don't get that's the secret to being successful like that, and he does, and I admired that. I still do. Even after all the years of fighting with him, I respect him more than anybody else. But I want to say too that to all those in the WWE universe, how much I appreciate, and I'm humbled by the fact that you still enjoy the Ultimate Warrior character. It means a lot to me, and it always will, and that will never change for me.
I was sitting at Capitol from a place long from here, and I came here for one reason: to attack and keep coming. Not to ask, but just to give. Not to want, but just to sin. Sin the power warrior down everybody's throat in the WWE till they become sick of it. Well, you're gonna get sick of it, because this freaking nature right here is just beginning to swell. And when I get big enough, brother, there ain't gonna be room for anybody else but me and all the warriors floating through the veins and the power of the warrior. How must I prepare, you must ask yourself? Should I jump off the tallest building in the world? Should I lay on the lawn and let him run over me with lawnmowers? Should I go to Africa and let him trample me with raging elephants? You can feel it, dude! You can feel it! Load the spaceship with the rocket fuel! Load it with the warriors! In my final meeting with the gods from the heavens above, as they spoke to me and hit me with the power of the Ultimate Warrior, they told me, exit stage left! Exit stage right! There is no place to run. All the fuses in the exit signs have been burned out. With the command of my voice, I raise the level of the warriors to one that can't be reproduced. Dig your claws into my organs. Stretch into my tendons. Bury your anchors into my bones. For the power of the warrior will always prevail. Family that I live for only breathes the air that smells of combat. With or without the faceplate, I am the Ultimate Warrior. The heavens have opened up from above, and the warriors have spoken. You felt the power that makes the skies rumble and the earth shake. Come on in, where nightmares are the best part of my day. I live for anger and frustration. Combat is where I will be. I look above to the gods, and when you fall below the skeletons of the warriors past, the power of the warriors will become the eighth wonder of the world. Normal people, the people that walk the streets every day, we cannot understand. Now you must deal with the creation of all the unpleasantries in the entire universe. As I feel the injection from the gods above, I only know that the Ultimate Warrior is totally out of control. As you, Hulk Hogan, travel to WrestleMania, take the two pilots that have already made the sacrifice. Shove that control into a nosedive, Hulk Hogan.
Welcome back to a special Wednesday night edition of the RCWR show, where we're remembering Ultimate Warrior Those were some great sound bites right there. I couldn't help but kick back and have a good hearty laugh at some of that stuff. What the hell was up? That one always rattled me, the last one. Take the pilots, take the plane, nosedive, Hulk Hogan. Oh, what the crazy crap right there, man. Crazy crap. If you guys haven't checked out the new Ultimate Warrior DVD that's out, you really should. And do yourself a favor, do not see the DVD that Ultimate Warrior was talking about during his Hall of Fame speech. Of course, I'm talking about 2005 Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. That was just a whole freaking smear campaign. I can't help but wonder now, with all the people that have participated in that DVD, how they got to be feeling now. Because it's like, oh, fuck, Ultimate Warrior is dead. All this bad stuff that we had said. And 9 times out of 10, look, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that those people probably were pushed to try to say something negative about Ultimate Warrior, or maybe it was just a case of how the editing was done. But in either case, that DVD was just a big old smear campaign. Don't pick that copy up. Do yourself a favor and get the new DVD that's out right now. That's definitely a collector's item too, by the way. And you talk about the table of contents that's in there. I'm not going to read it to you guys, but let me put it to you this way. They did that new DVD that he's got Justice. It looks like if you get it on Blu-ray, let me see here. It looks like Blu-ray is 3 discs. Might be 2 discs. Usually standard is the 3 disc, and then the Blu-ray is the 2 disc. I bet you the Blu-ray is the 2 disc, but a lot of stuff is on that DVD. Go check it out. I was paying attention. I was looking at the table of contents of it the other day, and it looked pretty freaking on point. I must admit, it looks well complete. I couldn't sit back and think of 1 or 2 matches that they didn't include that should be in there. It looks like they covered all bases right there. I would actually have to watch it myself. That way it can kind of get my memory jogging if they did miss anything. But from what I'm able to see so far, looks like they didn't miss anything. And it's funny we're talking about that DVD too, because it turns out during the Hall of Fame weekend and WrestleMania weekend, WWE cameras were following Ultimate Warrior and his family around. Apparently, they were shooting some footage that was to air on a future Ultimate Warrior DVD, basically chronicling his return to World Wrestling Entertainment. You can only help but wonder just how much did they get out the way. Was it enough for a DVD or what? Only time will tell with regards to that. Something that I definitely think Vince McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon need to take heed of is one piece of info during Ultimate Warrior's Hall of Fame speech, and I'm really hoping that they now get on top of this. And I don't know if you guys had saw it or you heard about it, but during Warrior's Hall of Fame speech, he proposed the idea of creating the Jimmy Miranda Award. And this would coincide with the Hall of Fame every year to honor one of WWE's behind-the-scenes employees. I don't know about you guys, but I think that this is a fantastic idea. I think that, and for you guys that don't know who Jimmy Miranda is a guy who for many, many years, for a lot of the WWE superstars, he would single-handedly work with each superstar, each diva, and take all their t-shirts, really before the launch of WWE.com and WWE Shop, before it all just really started getting all explosive and everything. He would just work with the superstars and the divas, get all their memorabilia, and make sure single-handedly that it would be available in the next town that they were going to. I mean, he did so much for them. You talk about above and beyond. And he was a one-man band for the most part that was doing all this. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he had recently talked about Jimmy during one of his podcast episodes several weeks back. And I think it's a phenomenal idea because there's definitely a lot of people behind the scenes that you probably don't hear about, that definitely deserves to get that type of acknowledgement. And I think it's kind of funny that after Warrior had talked about that during the weekend, remember that one segment on Raw this week where they basically said this gives you a sneak peek on just what all it takes to get Raw set up, and I think they put some weird number out there like 8,000 light bulbs or something like that. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you got Hulu Plus or you got Univision, Telemundo, or NBC Universal, you'll be able to see Raw this weekend because they show encores of it on those networks. Check it out and you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. But it's kind of nice how WWE, they kind of played off key things that Warrior had said as they had showed that segment, and they also showed the cameraman and all that. But I think now that he's passed, they're probably definitely going to be doing everything in their power to try to make that award come to fruition. My fingers are crossed, and I definitely hope that they make it happen. I definitely want to get to you guys' comments on YouTube here. As I mentioned earlier before the commercial break, a lot of you guys had took to YouTube and commented on our piece, offered your thoughts. And very emotional stuff right here too. Let's pull you guys stuff up right here and see what you guys had to say. Off and on, I took a little bit of a glance at some of the things y'all had to say, but I didn't really read. So this is actually my first time reading what you guys had to say on YouTube here. Dylan, damn, not a joke, but fits perfect for what happened. Rest in peace. I don't get that. I shouldn't have read that. Let's go with something else. Let's pretend I didn't read that one because I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Last American, rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. James, I grew up an Ultimate Warrior fan, and until The Rock, he was my favorite. Don, I agree with you. At his speech and on Raw, he looked ill. Kind of like, I'm leaving. Remember good things about me. Jose, all the little warriors weep tonight. He was my favorite wrestler growing up. He is immortal warrior. He will never be forgotten. Therefore, he will never die with us. Warrior tonight, warrior tomorrow, warrior forever. Jose, you just gave WWE a good idea for a t-shirt, man. I think WWE needs to be pitched that. Let's see here. Brandon, the thumbnail fits the comment, and the vid, rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Shakes ropes. MaxView99, great video. Very professional. I still can't believe it. Rest in peace, Warrior. John, at least he lived to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. But looking back at this speech, it's like he knew something was wrong, that he didn't have too long to live. He looked so weary on Monday Night Raw. But even then, he gave it his all. Sad for his wife, daughters, and his mom, who just 2 nights before saw him giving his acceptance speech. To go from such joy, then to such sadness in a matter of hours, I really feel for his family. From a longtime fan. Will, just think this, if WrestleMania was a week later, we would have never seen him in the Hall of Fame or even on the next night episode of Raw. This just shows how precious life truly is. Angel, can't believe that Ultimate Warrior has died, and I know what you mean, Lee. He didn't look too well, but I thought it was his age. I'll never forget SummerSlam 88 when he beat Honky Tonk Man for the IC title. WrestleMania 6 when he raised both belts, and his feud with Rick Rude, to name a few. The wrestling world have lost a legend. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Alti brought up a very good point, which is he also had made peace with Hulk Hogan. I'm not sure how many of you have taken to social media today, but there is a picture floating around of Pat Patterson, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, all embracing for the camera. Big old smiles. Hulk Hogan had officially put that stamp out there that whatever was going on beef-wise between him and Warrior, it was squashed. And I don't know about you guys, but it definitely puts a smile on my face to hear that. It's nice to know that whatever problems they had, everything got taken care of. Steven, man, I wasn't his biggest fan growing up, but still, this news hits me hard. Seeing his Hall of Fame induction speech and him on Raw and the things he said, it is as if he was giving all his fans a farewell. I also feel terribly for his family, which we got to see at the Hall of Fame, but he leaves two beautiful young girls behind. Really terrible news. I'll only read about 3 more for you guys. Steven, oh my God, are you serious right now, man? Just became a Hall of Famer and had just returned for Raw for the first time in years. And even worse, he just signed a contract with the WWE to become an ambassador. This is crazy. I mean, this is a shocking tragedy. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior, a true legend. Mr. Sanders, you cannot blame yourself on your opinion about his speech. I mean, a lot of us feel the same as you do, but things happen. I mean, you never know what might happen. God gives us a legend, and God took him away from us through his time. And it appears as though his time was now to be with God. 2 more comments here. New GOAT. Like I said to another YouTuber, just crazy that this happens. Others said and noticed as well, as he was kind of funny when he came out on Raw, like if something was wrong with him. I don't know. Either way, sad day. Can't believe it. But notice even on the Hall of Fame, something was wrong with him and looked like he didn't want to see Hulk Hogan. He kept looking to the right and the left, but never straight where Hulk was sitting. But that's just me. Does make you wonder, but then when you see that picture of all of them embracing one another, having a smile, you kind of can't help but wonder. Let's end it on a strong note. I like what John had to say here. Just speechless. He was one of my biggest heroes as a child and still is today. Still, as I write this, I'm completely at a loss for words. The sadness I feel is unfadable, and the love and passion I have for the Ultimate Warrior goes out to his family. He will forever run through my heart and the hearts of WWE fans. Nothing but love for the Ultimate Warrior and his family. Thank you for the memories, and God bless. And folks, that's just a small little tidbit of the outpouring comments that you all had to share with us on YouTube, reflecting on the passing of the Ultimate Warrior, dead at the age of 54. I did not get to all of you all's comments, but you guys are more than encouraged to continue to comment. Share your Ultimate Warrior favorite match, favorite memory, or you can offer your condolences, whatever you'd like to do. You're more than welcome to continue to comment, and where I can, I'll definitely comment. If you guys are directing something towards me, I'll try to see if I can comment to you guys directly. But I appreciate all you guys for chiming in your thoughts on Warrior's passing. Let's take to Twitter now. We have a couple of interactions coming in on there. Kelly Vargo. Kelly's a recent follower of the RCWR show. I always love chatting it up with her. WWE, so sad, so young. Yeah, it looks like we got one more coming in. Francisco, my first WWF event my dad took me to was at MSG in New York City. And I loved my bro when he went in the ring and Warrior comes out. And as a kid, I just lost my mind. Francisco, great that you had an opportunity to see Warrior in person, man, and at his best too, if you had saw him at MSG. One thing that I thought was very interesting, and personally I just think it's a little bit disgusting. I don't know how many of you guys have been on eBay, but you type in Ultimate Warrior. I just did it out of curiosity too. You type in Ultimate Warrior and there are so many people looking for a big old payday. It's ridiculous. It's just disgusting. There is this one Ultimate Warrior figure. It looks like it's from Japan or something. Last I checked, the current bid is $3,000. I wish I was making this crap up. It's $3,000. That's ridiculous. You know, some of these eBay sellers, they should be ashamed of themselves. You know, Warrior for many years, he was fighting eBayers. He did not like the eBayers that were going around making ridiculous prices on his merchandise. And on top of that, he didn't like folks that were selling counterfeit versions of his merchandise and memorabilia. He did everything he could to fight that. And I can't stress it enough, just knowing how Ultimate Warrior was when it came to stuff on eBay and everything. I can't stress it enough. If you guys are looking to add some stuff to your personal collection of Ultimate Warrior, I would not recommend going on eBay. The prices are just buku, ridiculously crazy. Instead, I don't know if Warrior Shop is still up on eBay, but if it is, I would recommend you try to see if you can buy some stuff from that respected store, because right now, his family, they need all the financial aid that they can get. I mean, you kind of can't help but wonder that with Ultimate Warrior's passing, that multi-year deal that he signed, is his family going to see a little bit of money coming in for maybe the next couple of months or couple of years? We don't know right now. So I would say to you guys that's able to give, try to see if you can find out if Ultimate Warrior store on eBay is up, or maybe even go to his website, see if there's any stuff that's for sale, and put your money in that way. And I'm definitely 100% certain that all money that's going to be made from merchandise from his website or eBay site, it'll definitely go to his family. Even one of my colleagues, and I'm not going to put his name out there, but even one of my colleagues is selling Ultimate Warrior memorabilia. There's like about 3 posters that he's selling that Ultimate Warrior had signed, and he wants like $400 each. And it's kind of like, really, dude, you picked a hell of a time to sell those. It'd be one thing if you sold them during Hall of Fame weekend. Then it's kind of like, okay, I respect that. You're capitalizing. I get that. And you've already been putting it out there for days. I get that. But to just come in after somebody dies and you're trying to make money off of them by selling posters and all that other crap, man, it just leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't know about you guys, but it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't like it. I don't dig it one bit. But I think that's pretty much it. Tammy, do we have any calls coming in? No? You sure? Okay, all right. Well, then we'll wrap the show up then. You know, I want to say this in closing with regards to Ultimate Warrior. For me personally, the biggest thing that I take away from everything that has happened within like the past 30-something hours, 48 hours, is live life to the fullest. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. The fact that you're able to get up, live to see another sunrise, you're able to lay your head down at the end of the night on your pillow and you're able to go to sleep, the fact that you're able to wake back up and it's pretty much rinse, repeat. I always have thought of it as luck. That's just me. We're lucky that we're able to be able to wake up and do whatever. And I always have had this mentality of 24 hours in a day is so precious. Make it count. Make it count. Because you never know. You can get hit by a car tomorrow. You could be inside of a building that just explodes with you in it. You could be caught in a fire. The craziest things happen. Everything happens for a reason. It's what you do in those 24 hours that will truly define you and your legacy. That's just how I've always had it. For me personally, I don't like it when I let a day go to waste because I feel like I haven't done anything constructive. And for me, those 24 hours are very critical. So much you can do in 24 hours, man. You'd be surprised what you can do when you put your mind and your body to it. And I think Ultimate Warrior kind of lived that type of lifestyle. You know, if you see something, you have a certain goal you're trying to accomplish, anything is possible as long as you stay diligent and you work really hard towards it. Anything can happen. And I think Warrior lived by some really great principles. It was principles that he tried to place on his family. It's principles that he tried to talk about in his motivational meetings, teachings, all that. We shouldn't mourn the fact that he's passed. Instead, we should be celebrating his life. We should celebrate the mark that he left in the wrestling industry, and just take heed of the final things that he had said on Monday Night Raw, which was, every man's heart one day beats its final beat. His lungs breathe their final breath. If what that man did in his life makes the blood pulse through the bodies of others, if it makes them believe in something larger than life, then his essence and his spirit will be immortalized. Really take that to heart, you guys. As I always end the show, I wish all y'all to be safe and be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. Everybody, do take care.
Another day's end. I remember when my world came falling down. Out there the stars stopped there, lost in my darkness now. The rain keeps